Stop Apologizing for Growing by Earl Nightingale. Lesson 1. The Strange Secret in Plain Sight. Throughout the corridors of human history, there has existed a remarkable secret, a principle so powerful yet so simple that it has transformed the lives of those fortunate enough to discover and apply it. This secret is that we become what we think about. Consider this truth for a moment. The thoughts you hold consistently in your mind will materialize in your external world with the same reliability as a seed grows into its destined plant. An apple seed cannot produce an orange tree, and thoughts of failure cannot produce success. The ancient philosophers knew this. From the meditations of Marcus Aurelius to the teachings of Solomon, from Buddha to modern thought leaders, all have pointed to this same profound truth. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This wisdom has been freely available, hiding in plain sight throughout the ages. What makes this truth so strange is not its complexity, but its simplicity. And stranger still is why so few people discover and apply it, despite its open availability. Walk down any street in America and ask people at random if they're living the life of their dreams. You'll find that roughly 95 admit they are not. These 95 share a common trait. They live reactively. They respond to circumstances rather than creating them. They blame external conditions for their situations. They point to bad luck, poor timing, unfair advantages of others, everything except the one factor they completely control, their thoughts. The successful 5 understand something different. They recognize that thoughts are creative forces. They carefully guard the gateway to their minds, allowing entry only to those ideas that support their vision. They've discovered that the human mind works with unwavering precision, directing energy toward whatever occupies its attention. This isn't mystical thinking. It's practical psychology. When you think consistently about what you want to become, your subconscious mind accepts these thoughts as commands. Your nervous system responds accordingly. Your perceptions shift to notice opportunities that support your vision. Your creative faculties begin solving problems that stand in your way. The tragedy is that most people use this incredible power in reverse. They obsess over what might go wrong. They replay past disappointments. They fill their minds with doubt and limitation. And true to the principle, they receive exactly what they've been thinking about. More problems, more limitations, more disappointments. Begin today with this simple exercise. Start a thought inventory journal. For the next week, pause several times each day and record what you've been thinking about. Make no judgments. Simply observe. You'll likely be shocked at how much mental energy you've been investing in directions you'd never consciously choose. This awareness is your first step toward freedom. The prison doors that have confined your potential were never locked from the outside. They've been secured only by habitual thought patterns that you now have the power to change. The strange secret isn't strange at all, once you recognize it. Like gravity, it operates continuously, whether you acknowledge it or not. The only question is whether you'll use this power intentionally or continue to be used by it unintentionally, Your life tomorrow is being shaped by your thoughts today. Choose them wisely. Lesson 2. Your mind as the ultimate fertile field. Ladies and gentlemen, your mind is the most extraordinary piece of fertile ground ever created. Just as surely as a farmer plants seeds in rich soil and expects a harvest, your thoughts are constantly being planted in the fertile field of your consciousness. And like the unwavering laws of agriculture, these seeds will grow into the circumstances of your life with absolute certainty. Consider for a moment what happens to an untended field. Does it remain empty? Never. Nature abhors a vacuum. The field will grow something. If not carefully tended crops, then surely weeds, thistles, and wild growth of every variety. Your mind operates by this same principle. The remarkable truth is that your mind cannot remain empty. It will grow something. Every minute of every day, you are planting seeds that will inevitably sprout into the conditions of your future. The person who allows random thoughts to take root is like a farmer who scatters seeds blindfolded and then wonders why his harvest is unpredictable. The process follows natural law. A thought held consistently in your consciousness begins to germinate. It sends down roots into your subconscious mind. It draws to itself similar thoughts, emotions, and ideas that nourish it. Before long, this thought, seed breaks through into your physical reality as circumstances, opportunities, and conditions that match its nature. This process works with unwavering precision for both positive and negative thoughts. The person who constantly thinks about lack will harvest scarcity. The individual whose mind dwells on illness will reap poor health, but just as certainly, those who plant thoughts of abundance, wellness, and purpose will see these qualities manifest in their lives. The successful 5 understand this principle and practice disciplined thought cultivation. They have learned the art of mental gardening, carefully selecting which thoughts to nurture and which to weed out immediately. They recognize unwanted thoughts the moment they appear and replace them with thoughts aligned with their desired harvest. You can begin this practice today. When a thought of worry crosses your mind, immediately replace it with a thought of confidence. When doubt appears, substitute it with belief. When fear arises, consciously plant courage in its place. This is not mere positive thinking. It is the practical application of a universal law as reliable as gravity. Start with 5 minutes each morning. Sit quietly and visualize your mind as rich, dark soil. See yourself carefully selecting the thought. Seeds you wish to plant today. Seeds of purpose, abundance, health, and harmony. Throughout the day, protect this mental garden. When birds of negativity try to steal your seeds, shoo them away with deliberate, positive affirmations. Remember, this mental field is yours alone to cultivate. No one else can determine what grows there. The harvest you will reap tomorrow depends entirely on the thought. Seeds you plant today. Choose wisely, for the field never fails to return exactly what has been sown. Lesson 3. Decisions that define destinies. The great dividing line between success and failure can be expressed in 5 words. I did not have time. Yet, in truth, we all have exactly the same amount of time, 24 hours each day. What separates those who achieve greatly from those who merely exist is not time, but decision. My friends, have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract success while others drift through life without direction? The answer lies in what I call your definite major purpose. This is not merely a goal or a wish, but a clear, unwavering decision about what you intend to become or achieve. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does life. When you fail to decide upon a definite purpose, you leave your future to chance, to the whims and decisions of others. But when you plant your flag firmly in the soil of decision, something remarkable happens. The universe begins to align in your favor. Consider the mighty ship crossing the ocean. Without a destination programmed into its navigation system, it would drift aimlessly at the mercy of currents and winds. Similarly, your life requires a clear destination, a decision that defines your direction. The saddest sight in the world is a person of talent and ability who settles for less than they are capable of achieving simply because they never decided otherwise. They drift into jobs they don't enjoy, relationships that don't fulfill them, and lives that don't inspire them, not because they chose these outcomes, but because they never decided against them. When you make a decision with conviction, doubt evaporates. Clarity replaces confusion. Energy that was once scattered now flows in a unified direction. This is why decision is such a formidable power. It focuses all your resources toward a single point. Remember this: success is not a matter of chance. It operates according to law, as predictable as mathematics. When your decisions align with the natural laws of achievement, success becomes not merely possible but mathematically certain. The courage to make decisions in the face of uncertainty separates leaders from followers. Anyone can make decisions when the path is clear, but the ability to decide when the outcome is uncertain, that is the mark of character and the foundation of achievement. Your definite major purpose should excite you, challenge you, and pull you forward. It should be specific enough to provide direction, yet expansive enough to inspire growth. When properly formulated, it becomes a magnetic force, attracting ideas, people, and opportunities that support its fulfillment. Today, I challenge you to craft your definite major purpose statement. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What contribution do you wish to make? What life do you wish to make? What life do you wish to create? Answer these questions with clarity and conviction, and you will have laid the cornerstone of an extraordinary future. Your decisions today are creating your reality tomorrow. Choose wisely, for in the quiet chambers of thought and decision, destinies are shaped forever. Lesson 4. The remarkable value of persistence. Persistence is that invisible force that separates those who succeed from those who merely dream. It stands as a monument to human achievement, that quality without which no great accomplishment has ever been possible. I've studied the lives of history's most accomplished men and women, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that not one of them reached their pinnacle without facing defeat, often multiple times. Consider Thomas Edison, who famously experienced over 10,000 failures before successfully creating the electric light bulb. When asked about these apparent failures, Edison replied with wisdom that should echo in our minds daily. "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This remarkable perspective illustrates the mindset of the persistent individual, seeing temporary defeat not as failure but as education. The truly fascinating thing about persistence is that it operates with almost mathematical precision. Just as water, falling drop by drop, will eventually wear away the hardest stone, so too will persistent effort overcome the most formidable obstacles. This is a universal law, as dependable as gravity, yet most people abandon their pursuits at the first sign of resistance, never realizing how close they may have been to their breakthrough moment. Every worthwhile achievement follows a predictable pattern. First comes enthusiasm, then the inevitable challenges arise, followed by disappointment when things prove more difficult than expected. It is at this critical juncture that most people quit. But the person who persists through this valley of disappointment eventually reaches the plateau of success, where momentum begins working in their favor. Look at Abraham Lincoln's path to the presidency, a story of repeated setbacks that would have broken a lesser spirit. Failed business ventures, defeated in numerous elections, personal tragedies that would crush most souls. Yet he persisted. His persistence wasn't mere stubbornness. It was driven by an unwavering commitment to a purpose greater than himself. The professional understands what the amateur does not. Success is rarely a single dramatic event, but rather the cumulative effect of daily disciplines performed consistently over time. The small actions that seem insignificant in isolation become unstoppable when linked together by the chain of persistence. The universe tests the sincerity of your desires. When you declare an intention to achieve something meaningful, obstacles will arise, not to defeat you, but to determine if you truly want what you claim to want. These challenges are not punishment, but preparation, strengthening you for the responsibilities that accompany achievement. Today, create your persistence blueprint. Identify the obstacles most likely to appear on your path. Decide in advance how you'll respond when, not if, these challenges arise. Commit to paper the specific actions you'll take when motivation wanes, when others criticize, when progress seems slow. This blueprint, consulted regularly, will become your lifeline during difficult moments. Persistence is not glamorous. It's the quiet decision made daily to continue, despite all evidence suggesting surrender might be easier. But in this unglamorous quality lies the secret to every achievement worth pursuing. As Calvin Coolidge wisely observed, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Lesson 5. Outgrowing your former circles. My good friend, have you ever noticed how a tree cannot grow to its full potential when planted too close to other trees? The same principle applies to us. As you begin to grow, as your mind expands with new ideas and your actions align with your higher purpose, you will inevitably outgrow certain environments and relationships. This is one of nature's immutable laws. Growth demands space. Expansion requires room. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to step away from the familiar comfort of those who, through no fault of their own, cannot accompany you on your journey upward. I remember a young man who worked in a factory. He began listening to educational recordings during his lunch break instead of joining the usual complaints about management and working conditions. At first, his coworkers teased him. Then they grew uncomfortable. Finally, they began to avoid him altogether. 6 months later, he was promoted to management. The very people who resisted his growth confirmed its reality by their resistance. This pattern is as predictable as the seasons. When you change your thinking, you change your actions. When you change your actions, you change your actions, you change your results. And when your results begin to improve, those who remain committed to mediocrity will find your presence increasingly uncomfortable. Why does this happen? Because your growth holds up a mirror to their stagnation. Your forward momentum silently questions their inertia. Your expanding vision makes their limited perspective more apparent, not through any words you might speak, but simply through the contrast of your example. Take heart. This resistance is not a signal to retreat, but confirmation you're on the right path. Throughout history, every person who achieved something significant first had to stand alone with their vision. Edison with his light bulb, the Wright brothers with their flying machine, Ford with his affordable automobile. All faced ridicule before recognition. You need not be unkind to those you're outgrowing. Understand that their resistance comes from fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear that your growth somehow diminishes them. Respond not with judgment, but with compassion. They are where you once were, and perhaps someday they, too, will choose growth. In the meantime, seek the company of forward thinkers. As Jim Rohn wisely observed, we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Choose these 5 carefully. Find mentors who have already achieved what you aspire to. Seek friends who celebrate rather than tolerate your ambition. Remember, no one can make you feel guilty for growing except yourself. Release the need for universal approval. It's an impossible standard that keeps countless souls trapped in mediocrity. Instead, approve of yourself. Validate your own journey. The right people will find you on the path you're meant to walk. Your growth isn't selfish. It's your contribution to a world desperately in need of fully realized human beings. So stand tall, keep growing, and never apologize for becoming exactly who you were designed to be. Lesson 6. The attitude that attracts opportunity. There exists a strange and wonderful force that surrounds each of us every day, though few recognize its presence or harness its power. This force is attitude, the magnetic field that either attracts opportunity or repels it. Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to draw good fortune like a magnet attracts iron filings? It's no accident. These rare men and women have discovered that opportunity doesn't merely knock. It responds to invitation, and that invitation is extended through the attitude we choose to adopt each morning when we rise. Your attitude is the single most important factor in determining your altitude in life. It outweighs talent, education, connections, or luck. A person with average abilities but an exceptional attitude will inevitably outperform a gifted individual whose attitude is poor. I've seen this principle demonstrated thousands of times throughout my life and in the lives of the most accomplished people throughout history. Consider the marketplace for a moment. What truly makes a person valuable? Is it merely technical skill? No. Skills without the proper attitude are like seeds without the proper attitude are like seeds without water. They contain potential but produce nothing. The most prized people in any field are those who bring not only capability but a spirit of enthusiastic service. They ask not what can I get, but rather what can I get, what can I give. This service mindset transforms ordinary work into extraordinary value. The remarkable aspect of attitude is that it remains entirely within your control, regardless of external circumstances. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. This power of choice is your greatest gift, yet most squander it daily, allowing conditions to determine their outlook rather than consciously selecting it. When you maintain a positive attitude in the face of challenge, you become a beacon that others notice. Enthusiasm, from the Greek entheos, meaning God within, is contagious in its effect. One enthusiastic person can influence an entire organization. Your belief in yourself, your purpose, and your possibilities creates a force field that draws like-minded people and opportunities into your orbit. But maintaining such an attitude requires vigilance. Negativity abounds, and if you don't deliberately protect your mental environment, the world will gladly fill it with doubt, fear, and limitation. Begin each day with purposeful thoughts. Guard your mind against negativity as you would guard your home against intruders. Opportunity rarely announces itself with fanfare. It often arrives disguised as ordinary moments, recognizable only to those with the attitude to perceive it. The great achievers aren't necessarily those who create opportunities, but those who recognize and act upon the opportunities that exist around all of us. Your attitude is not just how you feel. It's how you think, how you speak, how you act, and ultimately what you attract. It is the atmosphere in which your dreams either thrive or wither. Choose wisely, for as surely as the farmer's harvest depends on the seeds he plants, your future depends on the attitude you cultivate today. Lesson 7. Mastering the Art of Directed Thinking. I want to talk to you today about something remarkable that you possess, something so powerful it can transform your life completely. It's the ability to direct your thinking. Think about this. Right now, at this very moment, you are using the most sophisticated instrument in the known universe, your mind. Most people, however, use this incredible gift haphazardly, letting thoughts drift in and out, with no particular direction or purpose. They are like sailors without a rudder, pushed wherever the winds of circumstance blow them. But you have a choice. You can learn to direct your thinking with purpose and precision. The first principle of directed thinking is understanding that you have absolute control over what thoughts you choose to entertain. No one can force you to think about anything. This is your sovereign territory. When a negative thought appears, and it will, you can acknowledge it and then deliberately replace it with something constructive. This isn't wishful thinking. It's mental discipline. Your imagination is particularly worthy of direction. Most people use this faculty against themselves, imagining worst-case scenarios, failures, and rejections. They rehearse disasters that never happen. What a waste of this magnificent power! Instead, use your imagination to visualize in rich detail the outcomes you desire. See yourself performing excellently. Feel yourself performing excellently. Feel the satisfaction of achievement. Hear the congratulations of others. Visualization is not mere fantasy. It's mental rehearsal. Athletes, musicians, and top performers in every field use this technique to program their minds for success. When you vividly imagine a desired outcome repeatedly, you create neural pathways that make that outcome more likely when you take action. Another powerful tool is autosuggestion, the statements you repeat to yourself. Most people continuously tell themselves limiting things. I'm not good at this. This is too hard. I always mess up. This is too hard. I always mess up. These become self-fulfilling prophecies. Instead, craft positive, present, tense statements that affirm what you're becoming. I am developing mastery in this skill. I find solutions to every challenge. I follow through with determination. The quality of your life ultimately depends on the quality of your thinking. This isn't philosophy. It's practical reality. Your thoughts trigger emotions, which drive actions, which drive actions, which create results. Direct your thinking, and you direct your life. Start today with this simple practice. Set aside 10 minutes, morning and evening, for directed thinking. During this time, deliberately focus on your goals, visualize their achievement, and repeat your empowering autosuggestions. Guard this practice vigilantly. It's the most valuable 10 minutes of your day. Remember, most people drift mentally. They think about whatever happens to cross their minds, much of it negative, limiting, or trivial. The person who masters directed thinking stands apart and moves steadily toward achievement, while others wonder what their secret might be. There is no secret, only the art of directed thinking, available to anyone with the wisdom to use it. Lesson 8. The Quiet Revolution of Daily Habit. Most people drastically overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and severely underestimate what they can achieve in a year. This is the quiet secret behind all remarkable achievements throughout human history, the quiet revolution of daily habits. Small, seemingly insignificant actions, performed with unwavering consistency, creates the unstoppable momentum that ultimately transforms lives. Consider the mighty oak tree. It doesn't spring forth in a spectacular burst of growth. Instead, it adds one thin ring each year, steadily growing stronger and taller while anchoring deeper roots. Your habits function in precisely the same manner. I've found that success is never the product of a single heroic effort, but rather the accumulated result of small disciplines practiced every day. These little decisions might appear trivial at the moment. Reading 10 pages, saving a small amount, practicing a skill for 15 minutes, but they contain the concentrated power of compound interest. Mathematics confirms what philosophers have always known. Consistency trumps intensity. The individual who exercises moderately for 30 minutes daily will far surpass the weekend warrior who exhausts themselves in occasional bursts of activity. This principle applies universally to every worthy pursuit. Your environment powerfully shapes these critical daily patterns. A simple adjustment to your surroundings can trigger positive habitual responses with remarkable efficiency. Place the book you wish to read where the television remote normally sits. Position your running shoes by the door. Make the path to positive action the path of least resistance. Breaking free from limiting patterns requires similar environmental awareness. The chocolate hidden in your desk drawer, the social media apps on your phone's home screen, the negative acquaintances who drain your energy. These environmental factors silently determine your trajectory. What makes the extraordinary person stand out is rarely extraordinary talent. Rather, it is their willingness to perform ordinary actions with extraordinary consistency, patience and persistence. Patience and persistence. They understand that daily disciplines, invisibly small in the moment, visibly compound over time. I've observed that most people abandon their most important habits precisely when the results begin emerging. They plant seeds but refuse to water them consistently, then wonder why nothing grows. The masters of habit understand that the valley of disappointment, that period where effort seems to yield no results, always precedes the plateau of success. Your life today is essentially the sum of your habits. What you repeatedly do ultimately forms the person you become, the things you believe, and the personality you portray. As you build positive habits, you are literally programming your automatic responses to life's situations. Start small. Focus on one critical habit that would create significant positive change if practiced daily. Design your environment to support this new pattern. Commit to 30 days of unbroken practice. Track your progress visually. Connect with others pursuing similar disciplines. The quiet revolution of daily habits will transform your life so gradually that others will call it luck. But you will know the truth, that patient, consistent action, aligned with unchanging principles, inevitably produces extraordinary results. This is the simple mathematics of personal transformation. Lesson 9. Wealth Consciousness Beyond Money. The world has been operating under a curious misunderstanding about wealth that has limited the potential of millions. When we hear the word wealth, most immediately conjure images of bulging bank accounts, luxury automobiles, and sprawling estates. But this is merely the shadow of true wealth, not its substance. True wealth begins in the mind long before it materializes in your experience. It's a state of consciousness first, a material reality second. The wealthy person is not one who has much, but rather one who has much, but rather one who understands the limitless abundance that surrounds us all. Consider the air you're breathing right now. Did you worry this morning whether there would be enough air for you today? Of course not. You simply trusted in its abundance. Yet when it comes to opportunities, possibilities, and yes, money itself, most walk around in a perpetual state of worry about not enough. This scarcity mindset is the first barrier you must demolish on your journey to authentic prosperity. It wasn't placed in your mind by accident. From your earliest days, you've been programmed through meaning but misguided messages. Money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Be realistic. These seeds, planted in the fertile soil of your young mind, have grown into the harvest of limitation you may be experiencing today. But here's the remarkable truth. Abundance is the natural state of the universe. Look at a single apple seed that produces a tree bearing hundreds of apples, each containing more seeds. Nature doesn't operate from scarcity, it functions from spectacular abundance. The truly wealthy person sees opportunity where others see only problems. While the masses are complaining about economic conditions, this person is quietly asking, how can I be of greater service? How can I solve bigger problems? How can I solve bigger problems? How can I create more value? Remember, your compensation in life will be in direct proportion to the value you create. If you want to increase your wealth, increase your value. It's a law as certain as gravity. Most people never grasp this fundamental truth. They focus exclusively on what they can get rather than what they can give. But the universe operates on an entirely different principle. Give first, receive second, service before reward, value before compensation. Begin today to develop wealth consciousness by shifting your attention from what you lack to what you can contribute. Start seeing yourself as a source of abundance rather than a vessel needing to be filled by outside forces. Your prosperity plan isn't about affirmations or wishful thinking. It's about aligning yourself with the natural laws of achievement that have always existed. It's about training yourself to see the opportunities that surround you while others see only barriers. The world rewards problem solvers, not problem dwellers. Which will you choose to be? Your answer to that simple question may well determine whether you spend your life in scarcity or abundance. The choice, as it has always been, remains entirely yours. Lesson 10. Aligning with universal laws of achievement. My friends, in our journey together through this book, we've uncovered profound truths about personal growth. Now we arrive at a principle so fundamental that once you truly grasp it, success becomes not merely possible, but inevitable. The universe operates according to perfect, immutable laws, and so does achievement. Just as gravity works without prejudice or favoritism, the laws of achievement function with mathematical certainty. They care nothing for your background, your excuses, or your past failures. They respond only to your alignment with them. When you work in harmony with these principles, you harness forces far greater than mere willpower or talent. Consider the farmer who understands the laws of agriculture. He knows that by planting specific seeds in fertile soil, providing water and nutrients, and allowing sufficient time, a harvest is guaranteed. He doesn't stand over the soil arguing, pleading, or worrying. He understands the process and aligns himself with it completely. You, too, are sowing seeds each day through your thoughts, words, and actions. The harvest you reap is the direct result of this planting, no more and no less. This is the law of cause and effect, perhaps the most powerful of all achievement principles. The cause you set in motion through your consistent thoughts and actions produces effects that correspond exactly. Most people struggle because they try to change effects while ignoring causes. They want different results while thinking the same thoughts and taking the same actions. This is like trying to harvest corn while planting wheat, a fundamental misunderstanding of universal law. The successful person, that rare individual who rises above the crowd, grasps this simple truth. When you change the causes, the effects must follow. It's not hope or chance or luck. It's law. Another principle to align with is the law of attraction. Your mind is a magnet, drawing to you the people, circumstances, and opportunities that resonate with your dominant thoughts. This isn't mystical nonsense. It's practical psychology. What you focus on expands. What you believe subconsciously, you move toward. The person who constantly thinks about lack attracts more scarcity. The person who dwells on abundance finds opportunities multiplying. Then there's the law of compensation. As Emerson wisely noted, we are compensated exactly for our contribution. If you want more, simply find ways to be of greater service, to solve bigger problems, to add more value. The universe keeps perfect accounts. The tragedy is that most people fight against these laws rather than flowing with them. They wish for exceptions or shortcuts, but those who align themselves with these principles find that life works with remarkable efficiency. So I ask you today, are you fighting universal law or aligning with it? Are your thoughts, attitudes, and actions in harmony with these principles? When you truly understand and apply them, you'll stop blaming circumstances and start creating them instead. The laws are waiting patiently for your alignment. They have been working perfectly since the beginning of time. They will work for you too, with absolute certainty when you work with them rather than against them. Lesson 11. Embracing your higher path. Life presents each of us with a fundamental choice. We can choose to grow, expand, and become more tomorrow than we are today. Or we can choose stagnation, comfort, and the slow decay that inevitably follows. The remarkable truth is that growth is our natural state. It's what we were designed for. Just as a mighty oak cannot apologize to the acorn it once was, you need never apologize for becoming who you truly are. Most people live their entire lives seeking approval from others. They shape their dreams, adjust their ambitions, and even alter their personalities to fit the expectations of those around them. What a tragic waste of human potential. The world is filled with men and women who abandon their greatest gifts simply because someone, perhaps a parent, teacher, spouse, or friend, once told them their aspirations were impractical or impossible. Remember this profound truth. Those who would hold you back were never meant to go where you're going. The path of growth is rarely crowded. As you ascend to higher levels of achievement, awareness, and contribution, the company naturally thins. This isn't something to fear. It's something to anticipate and embrace. I've observed that when a person begins to make significant positive changes, they often encounter resistance from the very people they expected would cheer them on. Your growth can be uncomfortable for others because it forces them to confront their own choice, not to grow. Your forward movement makes their standing still more obvious and uncomfortable. But here's the beautiful secret. As you release the need for approval from those who cannot understand your journey, you create space for new relationships that support and enhance your expansion. Like attracts like. As you grow, you'll naturally draw toward you others who are also committed to their own evolution and who can truly appreciate yours. The universe operates according to perfect law. When you finally decide to stop dimming your light to make others comfortable, you'll find that your brightness attracts precisely the people who can see and value it. The relationships that fall away weren't taken from you. They were simply making room for connections better aligned with who you're becoming. The most successful men and women throughout history share one common trait. They were willing to stand apart, to be misunderstood and even rejected in service of their highest vision. Edison, Lincoln, Einstein, Curie all faced criticism and doubt from their contemporaries. Yet they persisted because they understood that approval from others was a poor substitute for alignment with one's purpose. Today, I challenge you to release the need to apologize for your growth. Stand tall in the knowledge that your expansion serves not only you but the world. Those who truly belong in your life will celebrate your evolution rather than resist it. And for those who cannot accompany you on your journey upward, wish them well as your paths diverge. Your life is your own unique creation. You owe it to yourself and to the world to live it at its highest expression, unapologetically and with conviction. The right people, those who are meant to walk alongside you, will recognize and honor your courage to grow. Lesson 12. Becoming the Lighthouse. Your greatest contribution. You've come a long way, my friend. Through these pages, we've explored the magnificent journey of personal growth, not as some abstract concept, but as the very purpose for which you were placed on this earth. And now we arrive at our final consideration, perhaps the most important of all. What is the ultimate purpose of your growth? Is it merely for your own benefit? I think not. Consider the lighthouse, standing tall upon the rocky shore. It doesn't shine its light for itself. It doesn't apologize for its brightness. It simply stands, unwavering, casting its illumination across the darkened waters so that others might find their way safely to harbor. This is your calling. This is why you must stop apologizing for growing. The world desperately needs your light. When you commit to becoming more today than you were yesterday, when you steadfastly refuse to remain small to make others comfortable, you become a living demonstration of what's possible. You become evidence of life's boundless potential. I've observed throughout my years that the greatest tragedy isn't that most people aim too high and miss, but that they aim too low and hit. They settle for crumbs when a banquet awaits. They paddle in shallow waters when the great ocean of possibilities stretches before them. By refusing to apologize for your growth, by standing firmly in your commitment to excellence, you silently grant permission to countless others to do the same. Your courage becomes contagious. Your determination inspires. Your results speak volumes without saying a word. Remember this truth. Those who truly belong in your life will never ask you to diminish your light. They will never demand that you make yourself smaller. They will celebrate every step of your journey upward, for they understand that your ascent makes the climb possible for many others. The people who resist your growth, who attempt to pull you back down to where they remain, are acting from their own fear and limitation. Their resistance isn't about you at all. It's about the mirror you've become, reflecting back to them their own unrealized potential. So shine brightly, my friend. Let your light reach far across the waters. Stand as a beacon of what's possible when a human being decides to claim their birthright of continuous growth and development. The world doesn't need more people living in quiet desperation, apologizing for their dreams and ambitions. The world needs lighthouses, men and women who have embraced their power, developed their gifts, and stand unapologetically in their truth. You've learned the principles. You've practiced the disciplines. You've weathered the storms of criticism and doubt. Now is your time to serve by example, to lift as you climb, to lift as you climb, to become the lighthouse that guides others home to themselves. This is the ultimate purpose of your growth, not merely to succeed, but to show others the way, not simply to prosper, but to prove what's possible, not just to achieve, but to inspire. Stop apologizing for growing. The world has been waiting for you.